The cost of a car service is partly constant and partly varies with the time t it takes to do the work. If it costs $500 for a 2-hour service and $300 for an hour service, find the cost of a 3-hour service. Hello everyone, welcome to our maths class. This is a maths Olympiad question. And in our tutorial today, we are going to find the cost of a 3-hour service in this partial variation question. But before we start, kindly like, comment, subscribe to this channel in order for you to get a subsequent daily video once they are uploaded. Remember, subscription to this channel is absolutely free, and we are ready to bring you exciting Maths Olympiad mathematics down to the very day you'll be taking this competitive examination. Now, let's solve this question. To solve this question, we are going to find out the true values of the cost or true value of the cost of 3-hour service. Now we're going to take our cost to be equal to C. We're going to take our time to be equal to T. So the question says the cost of a car service is partly constant. The cost is partly constant and partly varies with the time. So it's partly constant with a constant value, a partial constant value, and constantly and partly varies with the time t. Now this is a partial variation. If we want to solve this variation, this is the partial constant. We need to find the constant of this proportionality. Y remains the partial constant. We can also use any other alphabet that best suits us. Now this value, this constant of proportionality, if we change it to now be equal to y plus k, which replaces a constant of proportionality, at. So this stands as the equation. This stands as the equation for that partial variation. Now the first question says we should if the cost is if it costs $500 for 2 hours, so we'll have $500 for 2 hours, and then we'll have for a 2-hour service, and then we'll have $300 for a 1-hour service. So we are asked to find the cost of 3 hours a 3 hours service. Now let's go ahead to input this cost. Remember, partial variation will always bring us to what we call, it will always bring us to a simultaneous equation. For the first value, the cost is 500 equal to y, which is a constant of proportionality, plus our constant k with what? With 2 hours. And the second value is 300, which is equal to the constant value y plus what? K, which is 1 hour, 1k, which is still what? K. So this will be our equation 1, and this will be our equation 2. Now we're going to simplify those equations and then make them easy. So for us to solve this equation, we are not going to use the substitution method. We are not going to use the elimination method, but we are going to use one unique method of solving simultaneous equation in mathematics, and that is the Crammers rule. It involves fine-tuning this equation to become what we call a matrix and determinant solution. Now we're going to look at, first of all, look at the matrix. The matrix, these given values here will form the matrix, while this constant will also form these variables y and k will form the values we are looking for, while this constant will be equal to a constant value. So here we have 1, over here we have 1, we put our 1, here we'll have our value to be 2, and here we'll have our value to be 1, and here we'll have our other value to be what? 1. this will be multiplied by the values we are looking for is y, the variables y and what and k, and this will be equal to the constant of proportionality, which is 500 and what and 300. So this is the value we are going to get. Now, for us to solve this equation using Crammers rule, we have to look for three values. We have to look for the DO, we'll have to look for the D1, and then we'll have to look for our DO. What is our DO? Our DO is going to be the value when the matrices, this matrix is exactly the way it is. Now let's look at the value for our DO. For our DO, we're going to have our DO to be equal to the determinant of that matrix, which is 1, 2, 1, 1. And the determinant of that matrix will be equal to 1 times 1 plus minus 1 times 2. So that will give us 1 times 1 minus 2 times what? 1. And this will give us what? This will give us 1 minus 2, which is equal to minus 1. Now, how do we get our D or D1 value? To get our D1 value, our D1 will now be equal to, so we are going to replace one of these constant value, one of these values here, we're going to replace it with the what? With the constant value. So that will give us 500, right? 502, right? And then we'll have 300 and what? And 1. That will be the value for D1. So we're going to find the determinant of this. 500 times 1, that will give us 500 times 1 minus 300 times what? 300 times 2. And this will give us what? 500 minus 300 times 2 will give us 600, and this will be equal to minus 100. Fine. So the next thing we are going to do, we are going to look for our third value, which is what? Our D2. Our D2 will now be equal to, this will give us 1, this will give us 1, this will give us 500, and this will give us 300. If we find out this, we are going to have 1 times 300 minus 500 times 1. And this will give us 300 minus 500. 300 minus 500 will be equal to minus 200. So having gotten these three values, what next we need to do? What do we need to do next? We need to do what? To find our value for y. Our value for y now will now be equal to a d1 divided by do, and our value for k will now be equal to d2 over what? Over do. So this will give us d1. Our D1 is, from what we've gotten up there, our D1 is equal to minus 100. So we'll have our minus 100 divided by our D0 is equal to minus 1, and that will be equal to 0 will cut minus, that will be equal to 100. And then our K, on the other hand, will be equal to minus 200 divided by minus 1. Minus, clear minus. So we'll have our k to be equal to 200, and we'll have our y to be equal to 100. That's the value we've gotten for the equation. So having gotten this value, what next do we need to do? We are going to now find the value of what? We are now going to find the cost. Remember, we are asked to find the cost for what? For 3 hours. Relationship, the relationship holding the parameters we find as what? As our C to be equal to The relationship holding the whole parameters is C equal to y plus kt, as we can see from the initial equation. That is the relationship holding this whole parameter. So we are going to take that down. We are going to take it down, and then with that we can find the value of what? We can find the value of uh, C, the cost for 3 hours. Now we have seen have the value of y, we know the value of k. So our cost now will be equal to 100 plus what? Plus 200 what? T. Now we are asked to find the cost when the time is what? Is 3 hours. We're going to look at this is the relationship holding the parameters. So we are going to look at the cost at 3 hours. Our cost at 3 hours will now be equal to 100 plus 200 times what? Times 3. So this will give us 100 plus 600. 200 times 3 will give us 600. So our cost at 3 hours will now be equal to 700 what? $700. So if you check the options that are found in that question, you'll find out that the correct option is option what? Option D. I know you enjoyed this video so much. Don't forget to share this video with friends and colleagues alike, and subscribe to this channel to get a regular daily video once they are uploaded. Thanks so much for watching.